So now we're going to talk a little bit about the nicotinic receptors, and let me write the topic here. Nicotinic receptors. In the previous lecture, I've written there cholinergic receptors. Cholinergic receptors are two types, that is muscarinic receptors and nicotinic receptors. Okay. So we have already described this muscarinic receptors. Now we're going to talk about this nicotinic receptors. So let's discuss some few characteristics of these receptors. First let me talk about the location. Nicotinic receptor at the neuromuscular junction and nicotinic receptor at the neuronal junction. Okay, so it is located primarily in the neuromuscular junction, and it is located in the autonomic ganglia and also in adrenal medulla. Okay, and so what are its functions? So as I already told, this and this both are excitatory in nature, and this causes depolarization. Okay, depolarization. This also causes depolarization. And you might know, suppose this is the action potential graph, okay, and this is the sodium influx, and this represents the calcium influx, and this represents the potassium efflux. So this side graph represents depolarization, and this side of graph represents repolarization. Basically this is polarization, and so in polarization what happens is there is efflux of the positive ions. So when there is efflux of the positive ions, the cell becomes electronegative. Okay, suppose this is a cell. When the positive ion gets out from the cell becomes more electronegative. But when the cell gets positive ions, then it gets electropositive, and being electropositive means the cell becomes electrically active. Okay, so entrance of the positive ions in the cell means depolarization, because initially the cell is normally in inactivated state. The cell is in electronegative state. Okay, inside negative and outside positive. I mean outside the membrane, okay, and inside negative. But when the positive charge gets inside the cell, it becomes electropositive. Okay, but normally the cell is electronegative. Now, so the electronegative cell becomes depolarized. That means the cation gets inside the cell and becomes depolarized. So the function of neuromuscular junction receptor, NM nicotinic receptor, NM nicotinic receptor is depolarization, and the function of nicotinic receptor NN is also depolarization. and it also helps in contraction of the skeletal muscle. To be more specific, okay, and this NN, since these are present in neuronal junctions, this helps in catecholamine release